Welcome everyone to another episode of Amplify, where we like to
It's a beaver. I know you were doing your thing, but I couldn't help myself.
highlight and spotlight people that are fancy and go to Buc-ee's.
Let me tell you about the last time I went to Buc-ee's. The beef jerky man tried to fight me.
Because he had bigger muscles than you?
No, because he thought he used to be big. This guy was like 50-something years old. So first of all, 50-something-year-old man behind the beef jerky counter. I'm just trying to get a coffee, and I walk by him, and he says to me, "You know, I used to be bigger than you." And I said, "Well, I mean, how much? That's such an absurd thing to say to a stranger, but how big were you?" He said 255. I was like, "Well, you weren't bigger than me then." And he kept mouthing off, and then I went on my way and got my coffee.
Yes.
But
Listen,
it's just odd things happen in Texas. The last two times somebody tried to get into a physical altercation with me, and if you know me, that's just the other time it was because I had my dog in a Starbucks, and the guy called the cops on me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay.
And he said a lot of discriminatory things to me, which was really weird. And then
why Marcus? Like, to me, okay, so Marcus Leoni, president of Marketwise Appraisal. Okay, but here's the thing. Marcus is the coolest dude. Like, you're such, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this, like, but you're to me like this big teddy bear. When I see you, it's warm, like you're approachable. So maybe they just don't like your light and your positivity. I don't know what it is.
I don't know, man. I just wanted to get a cold brew.
Yeah, but you guys, Marcus and I have partnered together, and we are truly friends, to the point where last week while I was at NAM Focus here in Orlando, because Marcus lives down in South Florida, and some guy named Brett, what was his last name?
Brett Powers. Shout out Brett Powers, Beacon PDC.
Yes.
One of the few property data collector providers. Great guy.
What's up? He just got a free shout out. He came up to me. He was like, "You know, Marcus Leoni," and I was like,
"That's right."
My eyebrow, like my good eyebrow, went up, and I was like, "How do you know him?" Like, I got real protective.
How do you know him? Your good eyebrow, like you got a bad one. That's.
But listen, it was so cool. Actually, he goes, "I see you guys on LinkedIn together," and again. He said great things about you, and obviously I text you a few minutes later while I was at the conference, and it goes to show you the power of showing up, like you always talk about, showing up, the power of alignment, and having a great, what I call taco tribe, because you are a part of my taco tribe. And so people see that, whether they may not like or comment, they see it, and I'm appreciative of that. So that being said, let's dive into it on this episode of Amplify, the new form coming out.
Yeah, and I'm just going to preface this by being very honest. I think there's a lot of talk, and I'm doing some education on it.
Cool.
This thing, it's different, right? But it's like just getting a different, I don't know, credit report format or something.
What is the form called? It's UD.
It's called the Uniform Residential Appraisal Report. So the new form is called the URAR. It replaces the 1004, the 1073, the 10. I think it replaces the 1004D. I actually need to find out that's true. I need to double check my notes. 1004C. It's a dynamic, evolved version of the appraisal form. There's a lot of technical things that make it easier to manage. You know, we're not talking about having a complicated ordering process anymore. You order one thing and it's dynamic enough to adapt to the property type. Everybody's going to adapt. People are all flipped out. Appraisers are all flipped out.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's going to change. It's going to be for the best.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's always resistance to change, but I think overall, from the way I understand this product, in the way, because I've looked at it up and down and left and right, nobody's adopting it yet, right? And again, like I do business with very conservative group of people in terms of their willingness to make changes.
Okay. To know.
Yeah. So I don't think there's much to be worried about in terms of, like, if there is worry. I don't think there is. I think that there's going to be change, and they're just going to have to look in different places. But overall, it's a much better product, more thorough. And, you know, while it might require a little bit more work on certain people's plates. The appraiser might have to fill in a couple more fields. They're going to have to provide a little bit more explanation. Ultimately, who it benefits is everybody, right? Because there's going to be less back and forth for the appraiser or the underwriter or the loan officer to go, and even the borrower, right? Because if they review it, they say, well, why didn't they use this comp? And now there's a whole section in the report talking about the comps that were not used and why they weren't used. Green energy is addressed finally, so we actually have a dedicated section for green energy products.
Really good.
FYI, for everybody watching, solar panels are personal property and should not and are not usually considered as a driver of value within the appraisal report. So they'll finally have a section addressing that. But ultimately, the big change, I think, within the industry is going to come from the technical side, right? So that means Fannie Mae, they were the ones piloting, they're rolling this out, right? It's their form. Mm-hmm. So they're going to have the ability to send and receive data. So it's a new data packet that goes to them and is originated by the AMCs or, whichever lender is submitting it to them, if it's a Fannie Mae loan. And then you have all the little ancillary products. The appraiser software is going to have to update because now they're going to have a piece of software that writes that form. You're going to have to, you're going to have AMC platforms like all the ones that I've worked with. I know they're all working on it. But ultimately, it's really,
it's not that big.
I don't think it's a big deal. It's just something new to learn. And I think it's a good thing. People just get flipped out by change.
Listen, that community, Marcus and I are always real. And Marcus is on the younger end of that community age, right? So he's probably more open and subject to change, but that community typically is in a higher age bracket demographic, right? So they're a little bit more resistant to change, and I get it. However, like you touched on, the accuracy is going to be just overall better for whether the loan officer, the borrower. I like the green energy section. That was a thing too. The comps are going to be better, right? So that helps the borrower and the lender and all that. So I get it. I understand. And I know personally, I've had appraisal issues with my properties being an investor myself. I understand how important your channel and your role is. So whatever makes it more efficient, whatever makes it more easier for myself as the borrower, I'm all for it. And I don't want to keep going back and forth and things like that. So
ultimately, the only thing that matters is the data, right? Mm-hmm. You could etch it into a stone tablet and walk that thing down from the top of a mountain and present it as the 10 comp commandments for all I care. Ultimately it's just a different delivery mechanism. You want to put your appraisal on a paper airplane. Back in the day, my chief appraiser used to run one of the biggest AMCs in the country.
Yeah.
I think it was called LSI. And they used to have a full-time fax girl sending and receiving appraisal reports.
Wow.
Right. So I'm sure when things got digitized, there was resistance to that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that things, just the PDF format changing. If you go look online, you'll probably see a lot of appraiser feedback stating certain things, whether they're excited or not. Ultimately, just hasn't really rolled out yet. I think that there's only been a couple completed, and there's only a couple of really big tech-forward companies like Rocket that are piloting this. And I think my segment of the business, whereas I work with a lot of community banks and credit unions, they're probably going to be the last to adopt it because ultimately they're lending portfolio products and they'll do it when it's needed.
Yeah,
they'll do it when it's needed, but I don't think there's going to be some massive change for us. But everybody's servicing the broker community and the wholesale lending community. That change, I think that's where it's going to come out first. And I think it's a great thing. I think it's great that they're finally modernizing.
Good. Let's shift and pivot to conferences. I sent you my conference list. What was it, yesterday when we were talking?
Yeah.
And so I also sent you something today. You mentioned you're going to be in Orlando in March. I'm hoping for us to get together then. But if you see Marcus at some of the conferences, because it just so happens for 2026, for the list, a lot of them are right here in Florida, in our state. And I love that. And so is there a specific conference that you're really excited about or you are sponsoring that you just want to promote?
Yeah. We've gotten very involved with the It's called Securin and Florida Curin. So the Credit Union Real Estate Networks, Florida Bankers Association, we go to over the summer. I might be out of town for a wedding, but my company will be there. We will also be at the MBA of Florida event. Now, whether I'm in town for that or not, I don't know. But if not, Morgan and Katie will be there representing. We're the key card sponsor. Shout out Robert Villan for that.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, Robert. Yeah, we'll be at the FBA annual meeting, and then we've got a ton dotted up and down along the way. I'm going to try and make it up to the MBA conference in New York this year for the first time. I'm going to try to get out to the gathering in Austin. We have that Lenders One Summit, which I'll try to go to as well. But my stuff kind of evolves. They haven't published a huge list, as many as I'd like to. But when I'm looking down this, we've got a lot of involvement coming up with the MBA. So we're going to be with the MBA of Tampa, where Katie Curran, she's on the board there. The MBA of South Florida, we're going to be involved with as well. Let me see what else. Try to go up to the MBA Great River Conference. We're going to try and get to the MBA of Georgia. And we have those 2 new NAMBA Ops Cons this year. So we're going to do Dallas and Fort Lauderdale for that.
You're killing it. I'm so happy and proud to be not only your friend, but a partner.
Oh, thank you.
And you guys connect.
You're going to make my head blow up.
Connect with Marcus. Like, he is the real deal. He'll give it to you straight. And not only that,
thank you.
Totally approachable. And I appreciate your time and always being a guest. And I'm excited for our partnership for 2026. So thank you always. And with that, thank you for watching another episode of Amplify, where we like to highlight and spotlight fancy people with muscles with Marcus. Bye.
Thank you.